So we formally launched the Acoustic line in Anaheim in January. We're shipping, you know, not huge quantities of instruments, honestly. We're doing whatever, probably 30 guitars a month, something like that. So it's a small team of people making guitars just totally by hand in this area, headed up by a guy who Paul met a few years ago, Steve Fisher. So some of you have probably interviewed Steve. He's hopefully on his way here to take this microphone from me. But Paul and Steve really hit it off. Paul had some very, very strong opinions about what an acoustic ought to be. And really, in a way, it went back to the roots of the acoustic guitar, into hundreds of years of traditions. And take all of that and couple it with our already almost neurotic obsession with wood and with what creates tone out of wood, and putting those things together kind of is the foundation of what the acoustics are. The electronics that are in these things are proprietary. The way the pickup systems work is totally unique to our business. And also, we work in partnership with a lot of just wonderful artists that have kind of like partnered with us in a way that isn't that normal in an artist relations sense. Ricky Skagg comes to mind as a primary one, who really helped us in the design process all along the way. So Ricky would, you know, in the early days of this acoustic project, we would build a guitar, we'd ship it to Ricky, he would check it out, he'd tell us what he didn't like about it, he would tell us what he did like about it. We'd write notes, we'd send it back, we'd make changes, and every guitar started to get better and better and better.
The process starts here with just raw pieces of wood. This is a book matched half for a top. And when we start the process, we do the same thing with backs. We've got stacks of sides and backs and tops, neck wood that's all in the rough form. And we'll join the tops together, join the backs together, sand them down, and then we go through some CNC operations over here, which will cut out the sound hole, top profile, rosette channel, and on the backs it'll cut out the back profile. And then once that's done, then we come over here. This is a top that's been joined, sanded, comes off the machine with the rosette channel cut and the sound hole cut out. And then Court will take it. Can I borrow your top here that you're working on? Inlay the rosette, sand that down with the top, and then we start working on the braces. And the braces will be individually hand fit for a tight fit at the X brace joint. And then the braces will come off the CNC machine, but there's a lot of handwork to be done to get them to fit, to get the braces to fit on the bridge plate, to get a tight fit here, and make sure everything's got a good glue joint, a good fit, and it's goes together well. And then what Court's doing now is cleaning everything up, getting any glue, pencil marks, but he's also shaping the braces. We're tuning each individual top. So we'll start with the shape that comes off the CNC machine, but as we listen to it, we think, well, this top maybe needs a little more bass. So we'll take some of the material off the braces in different locations to get it to the tone we want, so that by the time that it leaves Court Station, the top is been tuned for that particular piece of wood, so that that guitar is going to have its own individual voice. And this is one of the backs for our 25th anniversary model, one of the 25th anniversary models of spectacularly quilted mahogany. This back goes through the same process pretty much, goes through, gets the braces glued on, and then they're sanded, cleaned up, and ready to go on the sides. And over here, Pete is also working on a set of sides for this 25th anniversary model. And you saw over there we had the rough pieces of wood for the sides. They'll go through a CNC process to get cut down to a profile, and then they get bent by hand on some bending machines that we've got, get the sides cleaned up, get the blocks glued in, and then this kerf lining gets glued in. This is what actually holds the top and back together. And right now what he's doing is lining up to put the side braces in. We're going to put 21 or 22 side braces along the inside of here to reinforce the sides and also to add some stiffness and rigidity to the sides. So that by the time he's done, we have a set of sides that looks like this. And the top surface and the back surface have been sanded to a specific radius. The top we build with a 60-foot radius, because when you take a thin piece of wood and you bend it just slightly, it adds stiffness to it without adding volume. So by putting a slight radius into it, we can add stiffness to it without adding weight or material to it. Same thing with the back. We put a 15-foot radius on the back so that we can get a good stiff surface while still having a thin piece of wood. And this is where the tops and backs will come together. We call it putting the box together. And he's got it set up here where he's going to route some channels into these sides, and he's going to notch it so the back braces will fit into those notches. Now, there's a router operation, but there's also some hand fitting to make sure that the fit is tight and precise. And then we'll do the same thing on the top where we'll cut channels into it so the tops and backs fit together. This is what we call the box. This is the top and back and side assemblies all put together without binding on it. This guitar is one of our first private stock guitars that we're doing with the highly figured Cocobolo back. Then what we'll do after this is we set it up into a router jig. We're going to route channels into the top and back and also parts of the side where we're going to put binding into it. This is an involved process. This is maybe 5 hours or more of handwork to put the binding on. Right now he's putting the purfling. There's a thin strip of maple purfling along the top and on the back, and he's hand mitering these joints into the end decoration, and also hand mitering the joints into the cutaway decoration here. So you can see there's a level of skill and craft that's involved in installing these bindings. This is hand mitered joints, and then wood binding that's the wood is also bent and then matched and mitered and joined in the back so that when we're done, we come out with this end product where the guitar is beautifully bound and everything ties itself in together. We start out with a block of wood similar to this, and it goes through several CNC machine stages where it'll cut the truss rod channel, glue that in, glue on the headstock veneer, cut the back profile to shape, and then it'll shape the neck so that when it comes here we have this semi-completed neck that's got the veneer, truss rod in it, and it's pretty much shaped to profile. But then Austin's going to take and set this to the body, which you can see right now he's lining up where the center line of the body is and where the neck's going to meet it, and then he'll take and route a cavity into the top of the body. The only way to get a good tight-fitting dovetail joint is to fit it by hand. We cut it with routers first to get it started, but then there's a lot of fitting to get the proper pitch, the pitch of the neck being how far it's angled back up or down, and then the proper angle so that it's not, so that the center line of the neck is going right down the center of the body. So you see we got a neck that's been cut, and it's going to fit into the body like that, but you can see what the fit is like just coming off the router. So what Austin's doing is he's using chisels and sandpaper to clear away material along here to either adjust the pitch or adjust the angle of it. And then he's going to take sandpaper and clean up this dovetail until it drops in there and it's perfectly flush and tight. And when he's done, you won't see any gaps along here or along here. It'll be perfectly matched together. There also won't be any gaps along here because it's going to be a tight fit where you could string up the guitar actually without any glue in the guitar and it would still hold together. And the reason that we use the dovetail rather than a bolt-on joint is because we believe that the energy transfer from the neck to the body is one of the most important things to the tone of an acoustic guitar. So if you have a good tight fit and everything's glued in place, you're going to get better tone transference from the neck to the body if it's all one solid piece. Match the fretboards in veneer for color and glue the fretboards on, and then sand everything in. This is the final shaping stage where we'll take sandpaper and file everything into the proper neck carve, and then right now he's fitting a heel cap onto here so that there's a little decorative piece of curly maple on the back of this, and then fret it, get the frets in and shaped, and then the guitar's ready to get glued together. Glue the neck on, and then it's ready for finish. We'll do some masking operations and send it for get everything sanded before finish, where we get all the scratches out, any machining marks, any gaps that need to be filled in, anything that needs to be done. We'll go over it very meticulously and clean everything up. And it comes back like this. This guitar, we let them sit for 4 to 5 days after they come out of finish, so that the finish is dry, it's done sinking back, it's it's ready now to be sanded and buffed. If you rush it too fast and pull it right out of the finish room and start sanding on it, this lacquer is still going to sink back into the pores. We want to make sure that all that's done before we level it out and start buffing it.